does she have on her beak? We should have seen them yesterday out in that mud. They had mud all over them. They had mud on top of their heads. They just was having a blast in that mud hole.
So let's recap here. You can't buy gold. You can't buy silver. You can't buy guns. You can't buy ammo. Toilet paper is hard to find. Hand sanitizer is hard to find. Can't buy masks. I'm done wearing a mask anyway. It's so. And the weirdest thing is you couldn't buy a freezer. There is something is gonna. How do I say this without sounding like a crazy prepper? I believe that we are going to experience food shortages that will affect everyone. And the reason I think that is because farmers don't have migrant workers to pick the fruits and the vegetables, so they're ending up leaving them rotting in the field. Cattle farmers, the cattle ranchers, can't find the feed to beef out their cattle.
You know, the stockyards.
The stockyards. Anyway, Smithland. I think I mentioned this in the other clip. Smithfield, which owns a lot of, there's a lot of subsidiaries under Smithfield, Eckrich, Hormel. There's like a dozen others that are companies owned by Smithfield, and Smithfield is owned by the Chinese. They're closed. We have chicken processing plants that are closed. We have other beef packing houses that are closed. So, in my mind, there's going to be a food shortage. Food will be in short supply. I don't know when, but I think soon. So, me and my friend Pat, and all of our families, we thought buying freezers and filling them as we can find beef and vegetables would be a good idea. So Pat and I, both went on search campaigns to find a freezer. And do you know what? Freezers are non-existent. You can't buy freezers. So everybody's thinking the same thing we're thinking. So there's obviously a lot of people who are gathering this information and processing it in their brain computer, thinking, "Hey, something bad's going to happen." And this. So anyway, it took us 2 weeks to locate freezers, and I only accidentally found a couple of freezers, and Pat and I agreed that if he found 2 freezers, he would buy one for me too, and if I found 2 freezers, I would buy one for him. Of course, we settled up. So I got a guy at one of the Lowe's around here to get online, and his in their computer on, it was at Lowe's. And he said, "We have a truck coming in tomorrow. There's a couple of freezers on there that have not already been paid for." He said, "If you get here in the morning, it's a good chance you can get a couple of them." And I went there yesterday morning, and sure enough, they had 5 or 6 freezers come in, and they had 2 that weren't spoken for. They were a little more expensive than what we both wanted to pay for, but they were bigger than we both expected to buy. They're 15 cubic foot. We were looking for the small chest freezers. So I bought both of them, and so now we each have extra freezers. I already have a freezer, and Bev has a freezer. So this is going to help out. That's just for meat. Just for meat and vegetables.
They're pretending they're in the water.
Yeah.
That's what they do when they're in the water.
I wish I could find a bigger pool.
Well, I'm going to fill this pool up today. It's going to be warm. I haven't done anything, but it's been too cold.
Yeah,
It
it's crazy weather.
52 degrees this morning when I got up.
Major storms, colder than normal.
Yeah, it's going to be bad storms again tomorrow. We've had inch to inch and a half rain like every 3 days.
Yeah.
The ground is just saturated.
So there's one thing. This is just me talking video and gratuitous duck footage and chicken footage. Also, I'm probably going to be doing some flashlight reviews, and my motivation is different this time. I got tired of all the YouTube channels doing the flashlight reviews, but my motivation is if I do these quick flashlight reviews, what it does is give me a flashlight that I can give away. And these flashlights, some of them are 50, 60 bucks. And that's a nice thing to be able to put a good, semi-expensive flashlight in the hands of somebody who probably would not go out and spend 50, 60 bucks on a flashlight. So if you can bear with my flashlight reviews, I'll make it worth your while. I'm not getting anything from them. I don't make any money if, you go buy. Well, if I put my Amazon link, I get a few pennies. But through Nate and Olight want me to put their links, which I will. My motivation now is just to get a free flashlight and pass it on to you. So if you can bear with the flashlight reviews, know that I'm not doing it because I'm a greedy person and I want a free flashlight. I'm doing it because it's an opportunity to put nice flashlights.
Don't you dare get out.
Nice flashlights in the hands of people who most likely wouldn't go out and spend that kind of money on a flashlight. Okay, I can't think of anything else to say. I'm going to spend the day in the shop. I'm probably going to drink one more cup of coffee here and soak up some vitamin D. But I tell you, the world, 2020 has been an interesting year so far, has it not? And now, Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader, they're saying, now I've read 3 different articles that all say the same thing, that there is speculation that he may be dead, dying, or at least mentally incapacitated from surgery he had. And there is I've read other news, but not from any of the mainstream sources, that we have a couple of destroyers headed to that vicinity, because when you have a power vacuum and advanced weaponry, bad things could happen. So we have shortages. We have more shortages coming. We do have some of the, personal restrictions being eased. I think the government really was testing the waters just to see how much we would take. And me, myself, I'd rather die from the virus than live like a prisoner. So I'm done. I'm going and doing like I've always done. And if I get the virus and die, it is a much better death than a slow death as a subject and a prisoner in my own home.
Well, here's something that's happened that we'll never see again in our lifetime and never seen before was the oil they were paying yesterday. At the end of the day yesterday, it was $35 a barrel for their customers to come get it.
Yeah, it's beyond negative.
Yeah. And they're speculating that some of these oil companies are going to go under, but surely they have filled all our reserves. And
no, there's 75 billion barrels from having it filled, and they're filling it as quickly as they can. I read that last night.
That's a good thing.
That is a good thing, yeah. So, boy, I tell you, we are truly living in some interesting times. Love you.
Maranatha for me.
Maranatha, yeah. Love you all. Take care. We'll see you soon. And I have 2 freezers on my truck. I tell you, I'm afraid there's going to be a food shortage coming up because farmers have had to leave food in the fields that they don't have migrant workers to process. And Smithfield Farms, or whatever it's called, the meat packers, they've closed down. Hormel's closed down. Some Tyson plants have closed down. Smithfield owns Eckrich and Hormel, and Smithfield is the Chinese, right? It's also the largest pork processing plant in the world. They process 35,000 pigs a day. So they're closed. And all these Chinese-owned packing companies are closed. Isn't that odd? Except Tyson. Tyson's not Chinese. But anyway, if you haven't tried buying a freezer, just look and see what freezers are available. They're not. It's sort of like ammo and toilet paper. You can't buy 9mm ammo. There's no guns available, which I don't need either, but it's just interesting that everybody's feeling the same way. Looking down the road, possibly seeing some bad times, some difficult times. And people are preparing, and that's what I'm doing. I just bought one freezer for me and one freezer for Pat, and I went ahead and paid for it just because it was there, and I knew he wanted one, and he'll pay me back. I'm not worried about that, but you gotta get them when they're available. They actually had, I'm at Lowe's, and they had several freezers come in, and all but 2 of them were already paid in advance for, so I snatched them up. Okay, I'm gonna get home and get this freezer set up. As soon as Pat gets here, we're gonna slide his freezer off into his truck, and then he's gonna follow me to the house and help me get mine on the ground. And if he wants me to come to his house to help him get his up in the house, I'll do that. There goes my stimulus check.